Hi! Today I want to introduce you to a new extension from VanStudio designed for OpenCart-based online stores. This extension is called Frontend Static Text Editor. It allows you to edit values from OpenCart language files using a visual editor directly on the storefront of your shop. OpenCart versions 3 and 4 do have a built-in language editor in the admin panel. However, using it can be quite difficult. To change a specific value, you need to know its exact route and key. Even then, success isn't 100% guaranteed. Values often duplicate and can overwrite each other. That is exactly why this extension was created, to simplify and improve the process of editing static texts from your language files. We will start with the installation process, basic configuration, and a live demonstration. After that, we will move on to an in-depth review of all the advanced options and features. You can purchase this extension either through the official OpenCart marketplace, which you currently see on your screen, or directly from the developer's website at vanstudio.co.ua. To download the extension from opencart.com after your purchase, go to your account profile and navigate to the Your Downloads section. Here, you will see all your purchased extensions, including the Frontend Static Text Editor. Next, click on Download Extension to open the list of available files. Currently, there are only 2 files in the list, both intended for OpenCart 4.0. The only difference is that the multilingual version includes language files supporting over 50 languages. With this version, the extension interface will be fully translated into any available language, both in the admin panel and on the storefront. On the other hand, the English version of the installation file contains only English language files. With it, the extension will always display an English interface. On the Documentation tab, you will find written installation instructions. In the future, a complete changelog and version history will also be added here. Soon, versions for OpenCart 3 will be released. This will expand the list of available downloads, and you will just need to choose either the single language or multilingual package for your specific OpenCart version. The supported versions are displayed in the compatibility column. If you accidentally download and install a version that is incompatible with your store, you will see a banner with a corresponding warning notification on the settings page. For this demonstration, I will download and install the multilingual version on a test site. Once the download is complete, go to your OpenCart admin panel, find the Extensions section in the main menu, and select Installer. Next, upload the downloaded zip archive. When the upload process finishes, the extension will appear in the list of installed extensions. Now you just need to click the Install button. Now that the extension files are uploaded to the server, a module with the same name should appear in your module list under the Extensions section. You need to install it here as well. This writes the necessary data to the database and grants access to the configuration page. After a successful installation, the Edit button becomes active, and we can finally proceed to the extension settings. If you install the multilingual version and your browser language differs from the extension's current language, it will prompt you to switch the extension language to match your browser. In my case, the languages already match, so no notification is displayed. To activate the extension, simply enable the main status option and fill in the required fields. In this version, there is only one mandatory field, the license key, located on the last tab called Help. To get your license key, click the orange button with the key icon to the right of the field. This opens a special form to send a request for a new license key generation. You only need to provide your order ID. You can find it either in your personal account on the marketplace where you bought the extension, or in the confirmation email you receive after a successful purchase. Currently, the order ID is a 7-digit number. After entering it in the field below, select the type of license key you want to receive for this domain. The domain field is populated automatically from your OpenCart configuration file. If you are installing the extension on a test or temporary domain, choose one of the 3 available slots for test keys. If it is a live, working website, select the live site value. Please note that while this extension supports domain changes for your license key, you can only perform such a change once per key type for each single purchase. After submitting the request, your license key will be sent to the email address used during the purchase. If you experience any issues or don't receive the email, make sure to check your spam folder first. Alternatively, you can use an identical key generation form directly on the developer's website at vanstudio.co.ua/license. Once you receive the license key, copy and paste it into the corresponding field. The license status and its expiration date will appear immediately below. This extension comes with a 1-year license, during which you receive free support from the developer. Now we can save the settings and switch to the storefront using the Open Live Editor button. If your OpenCart system has multiple stores, clicking this button will open a drop-down list where you can select exactly which store you want to edit. Next, a 24-hour session is created for the current editor user, and the store's homepage opens. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the extension's control panel with functional keys and a helpful tooltip. It reminds you that to see the editable text elements, you need to hold down the Alt key on Windows or the Option key on macOS. This editor is only accessible to the administrator who launched it via the Open Live Editor button. For all other website visitors, the editor panel remains completely hidden, and the extension does not run. Let's start by changing the title of the featured module block. For example, let's rename it to Featured Products. In addition to standard text modifications, the extension allows you to add HTML tags. The Value panel features several functional buttons that let you wrap selected text into various tags, such as bold, italic, underline, or strike-through. You can also insert a line break tag or an icon from the built-in FontAwesome library. However, there is a minor catch with FontAwesome icons. They will only work if they are already connected to your OpenCart theme, like in the default theme. If your theme does not use FontAwesome icons, for instance, the Journal 3 theme, attempting to insert an icon code in the editor will trigger a notification stating that the required script libraries were not found on the page. Also, due to technical limitations, certain page elements cannot correctly display HTML tags. This includes input placeholders, like the search text inside the search bar. If you try to add HTML tags here, you will see a warning message. It will offer to save the content without HTML tags, or let you ignore the warning and save it as is. If you choose to save it as is, the tags will most likely render as plain text, and the element itself will lose its edit highlights. Adding HTML code blindly might also disrupt the website layout. However, neither scenario is a critical issue. The extension makes no irreversible changes to your website's code. You can always open the editing history in the bottom panel to delete your latest edit, reset the value to default, or modify it again. Even if a mistake completely breaks the page layout, making the bottom panel unusable, you can always open the standard OpenCart language editor in the admin panel to remove or modify your last change. The capabilities of this editor are not limited to the pre-built buttons. If needed, you can manually type any HTML tags and attributes directly into the text field. Please keep in mind that this extension is strictly for editing text values from language files. Dynamic text content that is added via the admin panel and stored in the database, such as names and descriptions of products, categories, or information pages, will not highlight when pressing Alt, and therefore cannot be edited using this tool. For editing dynamic content like products and categories, a different extension will be released very soon. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to be the first to hear about its release. Next, I will selectively demonstrate text editing across various pages of the online store. Occasionally, the extension might find multiple identical text values and may not accurately guess the recommended entry from the context list. A good example is the column name on the checkout page. If your changes do not appear after saving, it means that a different entry matching that text string was modified instead. In the case of the product column title, once you change the first recommended value, which turned out to be the wrong one, it will disappear from the context list because it no longer matches the original text. The next recommendation provided by the extension will then be the correct one. After applying the change, you just need to remove the previous incorrect entry from your history, so it doesn't affect other areas of the site. This concludes our look at the installation and basic configuration. Now let's move on to an advanced review of the features and settings. The next option, right below the main status toggle on the General tab, is called Auto Select All Contexts. It is designed to automatically activate editing for all available entries in the context list for a selected variable, if there is more than one. If Auto Select All Contexts is turned off, only the recommended values are activated automatically. If no recommendations exist, it defaults to the first value in the list. The next option, Max Editable Length, allows you to modify the maximum text length that the extension can process as a single variable. Highlight with Alt and edit. By default, this is set to 500 characters, which is more than enough for all standard English text variables in OpenCart. However, if your site uses longer text strings, from custom extensions, specific language packs, or themes, this limit can easily be increased. Next, if your system has more than one store added under System, Settings, Stores, the Multi-Store Settings block will appear on the General tab. If you only have one default store, this configuration block will remain hidden. The first option here is Multi-Store. It enables or disables separate extension configurations for each individual store. When enabled, a Store drop-down menu appears in the top right corner next to the Open Live Editor button. Here, you can select which store you are currently configuring. With this mode on, each store will require its own individual setup for all options, except for the license key and the multi-store option itself, both of which are managed strictly on the default store. If the multi-store option is disabled, the settings of your default store will automatically apply to all stores in the system, even if they already have their own saved configurations. The next option, Multi-Store Editing, allows you to edit language values for multiple stores simultaneously from the front-end editor window. When enabled, a Select Stores to Apply block appears at the top of the front-end editing form, featuring a toggle for each store. Saved changes will be applied to all activated stores at once, removing the need to edit each store individually. Below that is the Auto Select All Stores option, which is only visible when multi-store editing is turned on. It automatically activates all stores by default on the front-end editing form. If disabled, only the store where you are currently editing will be active by default. The final option in this block is Editable Stores. It lets you select which specific stores are available for editing. By default, all stores are unchecked, meaning the extension works for all of them. However, if you activate the toggle for at least one store, the extension will stop working for all unselected stores. This affects both storefront pages and multi-store editing. Disabled stores will no longer appear in the Select Stores to Apply block on the front end. The next block of options on the General tab is Language Settings. It appears if you have more than one language added under System Localization Languages. Note that the default status of these languages does not affect the extension. A language will appear in the extension settings and on the front-end editing form, even if it is disabled in OpenCart and hidden from regular site visitors. The first option here is multi-language editing. It allows you to edit values in multiple languages simultaneously on the front-end form. Each language receives its own tab, with its own value field and auxiliary buttons. If multi-language editing is turned off, the extension will only edit the value in the site's current language. To edit other languages, you would have to manually switch the storefront language. The source language option allows you to select which language's values will serve as the source text for translations and the copy function on the front end. For example, if English is selected as the source language, clicking the Translate button on other language tabs will translate the English text into those languages. The English tab itself will not have a Translate button. Next is Editable Languages, which lets you choose which languages can be edited via the front end. If all toggles are inactive, all languages are editable. If you enable at least one language toggle, the extension will work exclusively for that language. For disabled languages, neither the Alt Highlight selection nor the multi-language tabs will be accessible on the front end. The only exception is the language selected as the source language. Its tab will remain visible on the form even if disabled under editable languages, but its value field will be locked. This is done solely to display the source text used for copying or translating. The last option on the General tab is Front-End UI Language. It configures the interface language of the extension panel on the storefront. By default, it is set to Auto, Browser Language, which displays the panel in the user's browser language. The next option is Current Store Language, which matches the panel language to the current language of the website. In both cases, if the extension does not support the detected browser or site language, it will default to English. Below these options, you can see a list of specifically supported languages. Choosing one fixes the front-end interface to that language permanently. The next Settings tab, Translator, contains options for configuring the translation feature on the front-end editing form. Translation converts text from the language chosen in the source language option into the other languages of your site. The first option, Translator Status, completely enables or disables the translation feature. If disabled, the Translate button will not appear on the editing form. The next option, Translation Cache, allows the extension to cache previously translated values during a single client session. This prevents sending redundant requests to the Translation API for the exact same phrase. After the first successful translation, the text is cached, and the Translate button changes from orange to purple. This indicates that further clicks will pull the text directly from the cache without hitting the Translation API. If you need to force a fresh request to the Translation API, simply hold down the Shift key before clicking the purple Translation button. Along with the Translate button, there is a Cop button that duplicates the source text into the current language field, and a Fill Default button to populate the field with the original value from the language file. Fill Default essentially acts as a reset, but requires you to save the changes afterward. If you are editing an entry that has already been customized, a Reset button will also appear next to the Translate button. This resets the custom value to the language file's default instantly, without needing an extra save step. In the case of multi-language editing, the bottom panel of the form also includes global action buttons. Clicking these will apply the respective action to every language tab simultaneously. The final option, Translation Provider, lets you choose your translation service. Options include Standard Translation, AP is like DeepL, Google Cloud, or Microsoft Azure, as well as AI-powered translation. AP is like OpenAI, Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, or Mistral AI. For traditional translation APIs, you only need to enter the API key in the field that appears. For AI providers, along with the API key, you can also select the specific AI model, temperature, and customize the AI translation prompt. All corresponding fields will appear below based on your selected provider. This concludes my overview of the Frontend Static Text Editor extension by VanStudio. You'll find all related links below this video. Thank you for watching, and stand with Ukraine.